This last problem is called Find the Area of the Shaded Region. Now this should be just a review because we've done this in class a few times. Let's assume that you have a rectangle, and I've already given you a clue by saying that. What do we know about a rectangle and finding the area? Well, we know that a rectangle has a length, the longest side, and a width, right? Well, let's assume that we know the width is 5 yards. And I'll rewrite this a little differently. Let's say 5 yards, and this is our width. And we know that our length is, let's say, 12 yards. And this is the length. We could find the area simply by taking the area of a rectangle is area equals length times width, which equals 12 times 5, which equals 60 square yards. But that's not what we're going to do for this problem. That's how we find the area of a rectangle. But let's just say that I did this. And I shaded in this area here, and I shaded in this area here. Now, I don't want to know any longer what is the area of the entire rectangle. I want to know what is the area of just the shaded portion. Well, let's look closely. What kind of shape do you see in the center? It looks like I see one line and another line that are never going to touch. They look parallel. Because I know I have right angles here. These are parallel lines. And these are parallel lines too. So guess what? I have a parallelogram right in the center. Now, let's look at this height right here. If the height is 5 yards from this top to the bottom like that, the height right here in the center is going to be 5 yards as well. Now, one piece of information I'm going to give you is this part of the parallelogram is 8 yards. But since we already know the entire length of the rectangle on this side is 12, if this part is 8, this part has to be 4 yards. Now, even if I gave it to you the other way, you would have to synthesize that if this part is 8 yards and this part is 4 yards, then the total length from here to here would have to be 12 yards. Either way. So now that I know my parallelogram has a base of 8 and a height of 5, I remember that the area for a parallelogram is base times height. So the area of my parallelogram in the center is going to be 8 times 5. And my area is going to be 40 square yards. So I'm just going to erase everything in here so you can see. Well, let's look at what we know now. The total area of the rectangle, we said, is 60 square yards. But the area of the parallelogram, which is completely white on the inside, is 40 square yards. How can I find the area of the shaded portion? Well, quite simply, we're going to just subtract. Take the area of the entire shape minus the parallelogram area, and that will tell you how much area is left that is shaded. So if I simply take 60 square yards minus 40 square yards, that will leave me with 20 square yards. And it's not that this side is 20 square yards or just that side is 20 square yards, but all together this portion plus this portion will be 20 square yards.